The evidence is all in place. If charged, guilt is inescapable. One day, out of the blue, my husband, who despises dishonesty and is a stickler for integrity, was arrested as the perpetrator of a heinous crime. This can't be happening, I demanded explanations, but was firmly told there was no mistake, my husband was the criminal.
Hey, why would you? You're denying the charges, right?
Even when I asked, my husband just hung his head in silence, not saying a word.
There's no way you could be the culprit, right? Right?
Despite my visits, he remained silent, reinforcing my fears. Amidst growing doubts about his innocence, our daughter astonishingly accused the police officer. "You're lying, officer. Do a proper investigation."
What the hell? He's the parent of a child with such a lousy mouth. He must be the culprit after all.
The accused officer, though dismissing it as a child's words, was visibly flustered. And, as it turned out, my daughter's accusation hit the mark, uncovering the unexpected real criminal. My name is Mary. My husband, Tom, introduced by a friend, has always been clumsy yet kind and earnest. He can't help but assist anyone in trouble, regardless of his own haste. And, if he sees someone in the wrong, he confronts them without regard for personal loss, such is his nature. Even at work, he stands by his convictions, even if it means clashing with his superiors. Though it sometimes led to him being shunned or treated unfairly, I've always loved him for it. Years after marrying Tom, we had a daughter, Lisa. Tom adored Lisa beyond expectation, a stark contrast to his usual seriousness. We always had a full life, going to amusement parks and enjoying meals with our family of 3 on holidays, but in fact, we have one problem that we cannot confide in others very much. Since childhood, Lisa could see things others couldn't. "Hello, what's your name? Where do you live?" She'd often sit in a corner, conversing with an empty wall. For Lisa, this was normal. She frequently stared into space, spoke to an empty room, or waved at no one. Initially, we thought it was just pretend play, but it didn't fade as she grew. Just to be sure Lisa wasn't suffering from any neurological or mental disorders, we took her to the hospital, but the tests showed nothing abnormal. Tom suggested that maybe his family's background had something to do with it. Actually, my family has been known as spiritual readers in our hometown for generations. I remember my mom telling me that my late grandmother also had this mysterious ability to see things invisible to others. Maybe Lisa inherited that. I was skeptical about such a claim, half believing and half doubting that our daughter could have psychic abilities. However, I was soon to witness Lisa's astonishing ability myself. One day, while we were out shopping. "Next, we should go to, that store over there."
Mom, stop, it's dangerous.
As we walked down the sidewalk, Lisa suddenly stopped. "Dangerous? What's wrong all of a sudden?" Lisa stood there, dead serious, refusing to move. Then, in the next moment, a car at full speed mounted the curb a few yards ahead of where we were. Had Lisa not stopped me, I would have walked right into the path of the accident. Phew, that was close. I suddenly had this image in my head of an old man driving that car, confusing the brake and the gas, and heading right towards us. Just like Lisa said, an elderly man emerged from the car, looking dazed but assisted by passers-by. Fortunately, no one was hit by the car, and the elderly driver seemed to have avoided serious injury. Faced with my daughter's precognitive words, I had to believe in her ability. When we got home and I told Tom about what had happened, even he was astonished by our daughter's gift. Our cute daughter, though we were surprised, neither of us found it creepy. We agreed to advise Lisa to keep her abilities to herself outside the family. While we see it as part of her uniqueness, it might appear bizarre to others and could lead to unnecessary conflicts. Lisa obediently nodded in agreement with our advice. She continued to grow up without any problems. But lately, Tom has been coming home with a troubled look on his face. Even when I ask, he just smiles kindly and doesn't explain, making me worry that he might be having trouble with his boss again. Around the same time, I started encountering some creepy incidents myself. While walking around town, I felt like someone was following me, or I'd hear the sound of a camera shutter from a distance. Neither Tom nor I could think of any reason why, but we feared it might be some stalker. Or could it possibly be that they were after our daughter? Even when we went to the police feeling like we were being watched, they said there was no actual harm and suggested it might just be paranoia. During these anxious days, my worst fears seemed to come true. As I went out to the balcony to hang laundry, I spotted a suspicious man peering in our direction from the road. Realizing he was spotted, the man quickly left the scene. This man was surveilling our family for some reason. I was convinced of that. Then, one day, Tom didn't come home as expected, and all my calls went unanswered. Worried that something had happened to him, I finally got a call from the police saying, "Your husband has been arrested on suspicion of robbery and murder." This can't be. I demanded explanations over the phone, but was met with firm assertions that Tom was the perpetrator. Taking Lisa with me, I rushed to the police station to see him, only to be bluntly told that visits were only allowed with a lawyer present. It was 2 days later before I finally understood the situation. According to the lawyer representing Tom, he had been near the scene of a recent crime in the neighborhood, his height and build matched the suspect's description, and a weapon was found in his bag, all of which led to his arrest. Of course, there's no way my husband would do such a thing. It must be a mistake. Surely, the real perpetrator will be found soon, and Tom will be released. Unable to do anything but wait at home with Lisa, I held on to the belief that my husband would return. A few days later, I was finally granted a visit to see Tom, with the lawyer present and Lisa by my side. However, Tom's demeanor was not what I had anticipated.
Hey, why would you? You're denying the charges, right?
Even when I asked, Tom just hung his head in silence, not uttering a single word.
You couldn't possibly be the culprit, right? Right?
His silence only fueled my anxiety, making me emotional. Still, Tom said nothing. Does this mean, could it actually be that Tom is the perpetrator? While I was becoming increasingly paranoid and confused, Lisa, who was sitting next to me, suddenly asked Tom a question in a calm voice. "Hey Dad, you didn't do anything bad, right? Then why are you here?" At Lisa's words, Tom looked up at her with a startled expression, his eyes seemingly trying to convey something. But when the officer standing behind Tom whispered something in his ear, Tom clammed up again. After the puzzling visit ended, I received an explanation about what would happen to Tom from Officer Turner, the officer in charge of the case. The evidence is all there. If charged, he won't escape guilt. Officer Turner said this with a smirk, offering a grim outlook. There's no way he could have done such a thing. Though I still believed that, the behavior of my husband during the visit and Officer Turner's confident statement left me uncertain about what the truth was. Wasn't your husband considered promising at his job? To think someone as quiet as him could commit such a heinous crime, you never really know. Officer Turner spoke with a mocking tone, gleefully babbling about how Tom's future was over. While listening, I realized something. Huh? Wait, have I seen this guy somewhere before? Looking at Officer Turner's face, it felt familiar. But with my head full of confusion about my husband's charges, I couldn't quite place it. Then, Lisa, who had been quietly listening beside me, made a startling accusation. "Mom, this officer, he's lying."
What? Quiet, child.
I won't be quiet. Because the real culprit isn't Dad, it's this officer's brother. Lisa spoke with such certainty. It might sound like childish babble to anyone. But from past experiences, I knew there was truth in Lisa's words. Officer Turner looked visibly flustered by Lisa's accusation, but he yelled, accusing her of making irresponsible statements.
What kind of parenting is this? If you keep up these lies, you might get arrested too.
When Turner made such a threatening remark towards Lisa, his colleagues around him looked shocked. Hey, don't get worked up over a kid's comment. Yeah, what's gotten into you? Be careful, or you'll cause us all trouble.
She's just a kid being disrespectful. Surely, that makes her parents guilty.
Despite his colleagues' attempts to calm him down, Turner's outburst didn't stop. But Lisa, undeterred, glared at Turner right in front of her.
Liar. Please, can someone check this officer's car?
Lisa yelled towards the surrounding officers. The officers looked puzzled but didn't take a child's words seriously enough to act.
I'm asking you too. Please, check as my daughter says.
Seeing Lisa's unusual insistence, I also appealed to the officers. If she's this adamant, maybe there's something that could clear my husband's name. With the lawyer's intervention, the officers reluctantly agreed to inspect Turner's car as Lisa suggested.
Hey, wait. Are you taking a kid's word for it?
It can't be helped, right? If we don't do something after all this fuss, it'll be more trouble later. It's just a formality, we won't find anything. Turner was desperately trying to stop his colleagues. His behavior was clearly suspicious. And just as Lisa had said, when the officers checked Turner's car, they found bloodstains under the passenger seat. Hey, what's this? It's not what it looks like. I got blood on it from a wound before, and it just stayed. No, the color looks quite fresh. Hey, call the forensics team. Finding the bloodstains made the officers serious. And soon, a crowd gathered for a more thorough investigation. See, I told you. The person behind him said to check the car. Lying is bad, and he should be held accountable for his sins. According to Lisa, something spiritual behind Turner had told her this.
I don't know anything about that. Someone's framing me. It's absurd that such a young child could pinpoint this. It's a conspiracy.
Turner desperately denied involvement in the crime, thrashing about, but his behavior only deepened the suspicion. Still, I've seen this guy somewhere before. Oh. As I watched Turner fumble through his excuses, I remembered a critical fact. You were the suspicious person surveilling our house. It makes sense I couldn't remember his name. He was nobody significant to me. The man who followed me and watched our house. His build and facial features, they're similar to Turner's. But the suspect always wore a hat pulled down and a mask covering his face. I can't say for sure it was him. But when I pointed him out as a potential suspect, Turner quickly turned his face away. And his hands, they were shaking, betraying his nervousness. Seeing that, I was certain it had to be him.
It has to be. And Turner, come to think of it, my husband's boss's name was also Turner.
It's a common surname, but Lisa said. His brother is the culprit. It couldn't just be a coincidence, so I told the officers about the stalker who resembled Turner and that my husband's boss shared the same surname as the officer. Turner did have a brother, right? Maybe we should check just in case. The officer hurried to gather information and investigated Turner's brother. And it turned out, Turner's brother was indeed Michael Turner, my husband's boss. It's too much of a coincidence. All right, let's go through everything again. Forensics arrived, and the blood found in Turner's car matched the victim's DNA. It also emerged that on the day of the incident, the victim was seen walking with Michael Turner, my husband's boss, on a convenience store's security camera near the scene. Damn it. I thought I could cover this up. That's why I hated getting involved in crimes. If only my brother hadn't caused this mess. Turner collapsed to the floor, frustrated. Further police investigation revealed that Michael Turner had a history of financial disputes with the victim. Michael had created a large debt to pay off his mistress, and had repeatedly borrowed money from the victim, but was finally forced to repay the loaned money and commit the crime. Michael quickly consulted his brother, a police officer, but fearing that a crime within the family would force him to resign, Officer Turner conceived a plan to frame someone else. And so, the Turner brothers chose my husband, Tom, as their scapegoat. Michael had been irked by Tom's defiance at work for some time. With my brother's help as a cop, we can pin anything on him, ruining his career prospects. 2 birds with 1 stone. That was the plan. Michael immediately set it into motion. First, he instructed his brother to stop Tom on his way home from work under the pretext of a routine check. What's this about? A heinous crime occurred in this area a few days ago. since the perpetrator hasn't been caught yet, we're talking to passersby in a thorough search. Officer Turner cunningly deceived Tom, claiming to conduct a bag inspection under this pretext, and opened Tom's bag. While pretending to check the bag in the patrol car, he sneakily planted the weapon used by his brother Michael in the crime. Then, acting as if he had just found the weapon, Officer Turner immediately called for backup in the patrol car. A man walking near the crime scene was questioned, and a weapon was found in his possession.
Wait a minute, I don't know anything. I had no idea there was something like that in my bag.
Tom, not suspecting a police officer would frame him, fervently insisted on his innocence. Officer Turner, lying that he had connections to the underworld, threatened Tom with his family's safety if he didn't admit to the charges after being arrested. What? Why would a cop threaten me like that? You don't need to question that. Look at this photo, it's pretty clear, isn't it? Your lovely wife and daughter. Officer Turner confronted Tom with secretly taken photos of me and our daughter. He had stalked and photographed us beforehand to lend credibility to his lies. The threat using the photos was effective, and Tom had no choice but to comply. Eventually, other officers called by Officer Turner arrived, and Tom was restrained and taken to the police station. The Turner brothers had carefully planned to pin the crime on Tom, but their only miscalculation was Lisa's existence. They hadn't anticipated that her abilities would bring their crime to light. Incontrovertible evidence found in his car led to Officer Turner being arrested on the spot for concealing a criminal and fabricating evidence. Then, the police quickly moved to Michael Turner's location. Michael was also urgently arrested as the true perpetrator of the crime. Following the arrest of an active employee, the company, fearing a scandal, immediately fired Michael Turner. The Turner brothers faced severe penalties in court, receiving heavy sentences for their crimes. The issue of an active police officer attempting to shield a relative by framing an innocent man received significant media attention, leading to a public apology from police executives. Though the police apologized for the wrongful arrest, we remained distrustful, given how our pleas were initially ignored because of Officer Turner's scheme. It's all in the past now. Please make sure something like this wrongful arrest never happens again. Tom sternly told the police executives. It was only fair. Without Lisa's advice, Tom might have ended up with a real sentence. Given that, Tom's anger was justified. The police promised us they would conduct more careful investigations in the future and work to prevent wrongful arrests. We hope such a sad event never happens again. That was our wish. And even after the incident, we continued to have busy days due to sudden media interviews. Tom, with his strong sense of justice, spoke out about the police's sloppy investigation, which became a catalyst for future changes in how police conduct their investigations. When the media frenzy about the incident finally settled, we were able to regain our peaceful family life. I really caused a lot of worry and trouble for both Mary and Lisa. Thank you both. But I feel ashamed because, when you kept silent, I doubted you for a moment, thinking maybe you were the culprit. I knew it couldn't be true, I'm sorry. Even though I was flustered by my husband's demeanor, I was embarrassed that I had even slightly doubted him as the criminal. In that situation, it can't be helped. At that time, ensuring your safety was more important than clearing my doubts. That's why I couldn't resist when Turner threatened me. If only I had been stronger. But Tom didn't blame me, instead, he apologized, saying he should have handled the situation better. Even when faced with being framed as the criminal, he was concerned about us, his family. Tom is that kind of person. Thank you for coming back to us, really. I'm so glad. Moved by Tom's words, I couldn't help but hug him tightly. If things had gone differently, he might not have returned to this home. I was just so happy he was safe. Oh, Mom and Dad are being lovey-dovey again. Grandma's laughing behind Dad, saying she's glad for us. Lisa pointed at us, teasing. No, she pointed behind Tom. According to Lisa, Tom always has his late grandmother as a guardian spirit around him. Thanks to Lisa's abilities, we were able to uncover the Turner brothers' crimes. The thought of what could have happened if we hadn't insisted on searching Turner's car, it's chilling.
Lisa, thank you so much. You and Grandma saved me,
Tom said, patting Lisa's head. Pleased with the praise, Lisa grinned happily. Whether Lisa's abilities will continue, we don't know. But with her power and her father's sense of justice to stand up to adults, we were able to return to our normal lives. Lisa's ability is a part of her uniqueness, and for our family, it's like a treasure. That's how I felt. Hey, why don't we go thank Grandma at her grave sometime soon? I suggested visiting the grave to express our gratitude for the ability Lisa inherited from Tom's grandmother.
Yeah. I will help clean the grave.
All right, let's all go say thank you by shining up Grandma's grave. Tom and Lisa both smiled and agreed with my suggestion. I look forward to continuing our life together, just the three of us, me, my husband, and our dear daughter with her mysterious powers.